The galaxy was burning. For years, humans had fought against the Nixari Empire, a race of tall, silver-skinned aliens with glowing eyes and voices like music. Both sides believed they were right. Both sides believed the other was a threat that must be destroyed. And so, battle after battle turned the stars into graveyards. The humans wanted freedom and expansion. They wanted to build colonies among the stars, far from the crowded Earth. But the Nixari claimed those same planets as sacred. To them, humans were invaders, reckless, violent, and dangerous. War was the only language they spoke now. Armies clashed on planets, and in the black emptiness of space, soldiers died in the thousands. Ships burned like falling stars. Cities became ruins, and families wept for those who never returned. The war seemed endless. And in this endless war, one soldier carried a heavy heart. His name was Captain Daniel Reeve. He had fought since he was young, trained to be loyal, trained to kill, trained to survive. His face was scarred, his eyes tired, but his spirit was still strong. Unlike many others, Daniel did not fight because he hated aliens. He fought because it was his duty, because if he stopped, others would die. But deep inside, he wished for peace. He wished the killing would end. He wished he could see something, anything, more than blood and fire. Far away, on the Nixari homeworld, lived a princess. Her name was Aelira. She was beautiful in a way no human could describe. Her silver skin shone like moonlight, and her long crystal-like hair shimmered as if woven from starlight itself. She was the daughter of the Nixari Empress, raised to rule one day. But Aelira's life was not her own. She was bound by duty, surrounded by guards, trapped by tradition. Every word she spoke, every step she took was watched. She was told that humans were cruel, greedy creatures, unworthy of life. She was told it was her destiny to hate them. But Aelira's heart was different. She did not want war. She wanted freedom. She wanted to see the stars not as battlefields, but as places of wonder. And secretly she dreamed of meeting a human, not as an enemy, but as an equal. Two souls, two hearts, a soldier and a princess, both trapped in a war they never chose, both longing for something more. Fate was cruel, but fate was also strange. One day, their worlds would collide. But before that, the galaxy would drown in fire. The battles grew worse. Humans launched raids deep into Nixari space. The Nixari struck back with brutal force. Neither side wanted to surrender, and so the killing spread. On the battlefield, mercy was rare. Anyone caught was usually executed, no questions asked. Yet in this ocean of hate, a seed of love was waiting to grow. For love is strange. It does not ask permission. It does not care for rules or walls or wars. It appears when no one expects it, even in the darkest times, even between enemies. And so, when Daniel's path crossed with Aelira's, the story of the war changed forever. No one knew it yet, not the soldiers, not the generals, not the empires that fought so hard to destroy each other. But soon, a forbidden love would rise from the ashes. A love that would shake both human and alien worlds. A love that would challenge everything they believed. Because sometimes, love is more powerful than hate. Sometimes, a single choice, a single act of mercy, can break the chains of war. This is not just a story of battles in the stars. It is a story of hearts that dared to defy destiny. The story of an alien princess who fell in love with a human soldier, and how their love could either save the galaxy or destroy it forever. Captain Daniel Reeve sat alone in the dark corner of the barracks, polishing his rifle. Around him, the other soldiers laughed, shouted, and played cards, trying to forget that tomorrow they might die. But Daniel did not laugh. His eyes, sharp and tired, stared at the weapon in his hands as if it carried all the weight of the war. Daniel was not the strongest in his unit, nor the fastest, but he was respected. Soldiers followed him because he had something many others had lost: honor. He never left a man behind. He never killed without reason. And though war had hardened him, it had not broken his humanity. He had been fighting since he was 19 years old. Now, at 32, he was a veteran of more battles than he cared to count. His body carried scars from blades, bullets, and burns. His mind carried heavier wounds, faces of fallen comrades, screams of the dying, and the endless smoke of war-torn skies. Every night, when the barracks went quiet, Daniel thought of Earth. He thought of the oceans he had not seen since he was a boy. He thought of the small home he left behind, the parents who prayed he would return. But above all, he thought of peace, a peace that seemed like a dream, always out of reach. The human command did not care for peace. They wanted victory. They wanted to crush the Nexari Empire and claim the stars for themselves. To the generals, soldiers like Daniel were just tools, numbers in a grand strategy. But Daniel was more than that. He still believed that every life mattered, even the life of the enemy. That belief made him different. That belief made him dangerous in the eyes of some. "Reeve," barked Commander Holt, his superior officer. "You're too soft. That's why you're still just a captain. You hesitate when you should pull the trigger." Daniel did not argue. He simply saluted and walked away. He knew Holt was wrong, but he also knew that arguing would do nothing. Holt was a man who saw only black and white. Humans good, aliens bad. Daniel lived in the gray. He knew there was more to the world than orders and hatred. The younger soldiers admired Daniel. They said he carried himself like a man who feared nothing. But the truth was different. Daniel feared many things: failure, betrayal, the endless cycle of death. He feared that even if humans won, they would lose their souls in the process. Still, he fought. He fought because his people needed him. He fought because soldiers trusted him with their lives. And he fought because in war, choice was a luxury no one could afford. One night, after a brutal skirmish, Daniel stood at the edge of a crater. Smoke and fire filled the air. Dead humans and aliens lay side by side, their bodies broken, their weapons silent. He removed his helmet, letting the cold wind touch his sweat-streaked face. For a moment, he just stared. The Nexari dead looked almost peaceful, their silver skin glowing faintly under the moonlight. They were not monsters. They were people. They laughed, they cried, they loved, just like humans. Yet here they were, slaughtered in the name of survival. Daniel whispered to himself, "How much more must we lose?" He never shared such thoughts with his men. To them, he was a shield, a leader who stood tall no matter the storm. But inside, Daniel carried doubts that would never leave him. What none of them knew was that destiny was watching. Soon, Daniel's life would change. Soon the war would give him something he never expected, something he secretly longed for without knowing it. Not a medal, not a promotion, but a reason to believe again. Because beyond the smoke and fire, beyond the hatred and fear, there was someone waiting. Someone whose heart beat just as his did. Someone who carried the same longing for peace. And when Daniel met her, everything he thought he knew about the war, and himself, would be challenged. But for now, he was only a soldier, standing in the ruins of another battlefield, wishing for a tomorrow where no one had to die. He did not know that tomorrow would bring him face to face with the alien princess who would change the course of his life, and perhaps the fate of two worlds. The war had no beginning that people could remember clearly. Humans said the Nexari started it. The Nexari said the humans did. The truth was buried under years of blood, fear, and pride. It began when humans left Earth in great numbers. The planet was crowded, the seas poisoned, the skies filled with smoke. People wanted new homes, new chances among the stars. Ships carried settlers across light years, landing on planets with green forests, blue oceans, and endless skies. To humans, these were empty worlds waiting to be claimed. But they were not empty. To the Nexari, those same planets were sacred. They were not always covered with cities, but they were holy grounds, connected to their ancestors, to their songs, to their way of life. When human colonies grew on these worlds, the Nexari saw it as theft. To them, humans were destroyers, greedy beings who took what was not theirs. The first fights were small. A human ship caught by a Nexari patrol, a Nexari village attacked by human soldiers. But soon, the small fires became a storm. Armies were raised, fleets were built, and the war began. Now, the galaxy itself was split. Human fleets patrolled the edges of Nexari space, armed with missiles, railguns, and burning engines. Nixari warships, elegant and deadly, answered with energy cannons and blades of light. Planets became battlefields. Cities turned to ashes. Every victory was paid for in blood. Every defeat carried the screams of the innocent. The humans fought because they feared extinction. They believed that if they did not win, the Nixari would wipe them out. Every soldier was told the same message: fight for your people, fight for Earth, fight so humanity can live. The Nixari fought because they feared corruption. They believed that if humans spread too far, the sacred order of the stars would collapse. Their leaders said, humans are chaos. They cannot be allowed to grow. Fight for your honor. Fight for Nixa. Fight so your children may be free. Both sides believed they were right. Both sides believed they had no choice. The war went on for decades. Generations grew up knowing nothing but fighting. Peace was just a dream. And yet, in the middle of this storm, there were always whispers. A few humans asked, do the Nixari really hate us, or have we made them hate us? A few Nixari asked, are humans truly beasts, or are they simply afraid like we are? But whispers were drowned by guns. On the front lines, Captain Daniel Reeve carried his rifle through the mud of alien soil. His boots sank into dirt stained with blood from both sides. He saw his men die, one by one. He saw the Nixari fall, their glowing eyes fading as life left them. And still the war went on. On her balcony, Princess Alira heard reports of victories and defeats. She watched the sky as fleets of silver ships rose into battle, never certain if they would return. Her people cheered for war, but her heart trembled with sorrow. She could feel the pain of dying soldiers echo in her mind. She knew both humans and Nixari suffered the same, but neither side would stop. For the humans, surrender meant slavery. For the Nixari, surrender meant dishonor. Pride and fear chained them tighter than any prison. And so the galaxy burned. It was in this chaos that destiny began to weave its threads. Human Command planned a dangerous mission, a strike deep into Nixari territory, meant to weaken their empire. Daniel's unit was chosen. The mission was clear: destroy a convoy, capture supplies, and cripple the enemy. But fate had placed someone in that convoy. Not just soldiers, not just supplies. The Nixari princess herself. And when Daniel stood face to face with Alira, when their eyes met for the first time, the war would no longer be just about humans and Nixari. It would become a story of two hearts caught in the fire, a story that could change everything. Because in a war where everyone saw the other as the enemy, Daniel and Alira would see something different. And that dangerous truth, love between soldier and princess, was about to begin. The night was dark, the sky lit only by the faint glow of a shattered moon. Captain Daniel Reeve crouched behind a rock with his unit. Their mission was simple: ambush the Nixari convoy, destroy supplies, and retreat before reinforcements arrived. The convoy appeared on the horizon, silver vehicles gliding silently across the alien soil. Energy shields shimmered around them, protecting their precious cargo. Daniel raised his hand, signaling his men. "Wait for my mark," he whispered. The trap was set, explosives hidden beneath the road, snipers positioned on the cliffs. Within seconds, the order came, and the night exploded with fire. Missiles streaked through the air. Nixari soldiers shouted as their convoy erupted in flames. The ground shook as vehicles toppled, metal twisting, energy shields collapsing. Daniel and his men charged, rifles blazing. The battle was quick but brutal. The humans were desperate, the Nixari unprepared. In minutes, the fight was over. The convoy lay in ruins, the air filled with smoke and ash. "Search the wreckage," Daniel ordered. His men spread out, checking for survivors, gathering supplies. Daniel moved cautiously, his rifle ready. Then he heard it, a voice faint but clear, a voice not spoken, but inside his mind. "Please, help me." Daniel froze. He looked around, scanning the wreckage, until his eyes caught movement inside one of the overturned vehicles. He approached carefully, pushing aside broken metal, and then he saw her. A woman, no, an alien, lay trapped inside. Her silver skin glowed faintly in the smoke, her crystal-like hair spread across the floor. Her violet eyes met his, wide with fear, but also filled with something else, hope. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. He knew instantly who she was. He had seen her face on enemy broadcasts, painted as a symbol of Nixari pride. Princess Alira. His finger tightened on the trigger. The order was clear. No mercy for the enemy, especially not for someone this important. Killing her would be a great victory for humanity. But her eyes, those eyes, pleaded with him. And again, her voice whispered inside his mind, "I do not want to die, please." Daniel hesitated. Memories flashed through his mind, the countless corpses on both sides, the endless bloodshed, the prayers he whispered for peace. She was the enemy, and yet she was not. She was alive. She was afraid. She was just like him. A soldier ran up behind him. "Captain, is she?" Daniel snapped his head around. "She's dead," he lied quickly. "Nothing here but corpses." The soldier frowned, but nodded and moved on. Daniel turned back to Alira. Her lips trembled, her hand reaching weakly toward him. Without thinking, he dropped his weapon and pulled the wreckage off her. He lifted her carefully, his heart pounding. "Stay quiet," he whispered. "If they find you, they'll kill you." Her voice brushed against his mind again, soft and uncertain. "Why are you helping me?" Daniel didn't know the answer. Maybe because he was tired of killing. Maybe because in that moment, looking into her eyes, he felt something he had not felt in years, hope. He hid her in the shadows of the rocks, away from his men. He gave her water from his flask, watched as her trembling hands drank greedily. For the first time, Daniel saw the truth. She was not a monster, not a symbol, not an enemy. She was a person, a woman, a soul. And Alira saw the same in him. Through her telepathic touch, she sensed his weariness, his doubts, his longing for peace. He was different from the others. In that ruined battlefield, surrounded by death, something impossible began. Not trust, not yet, but a fragile spark, the spark of connection. When Daniel's men regrouped, they never suspected the truth. They believed the princess was dead. Only Daniel knew she lived. And only Alira knew that the human soldier who shouldn't have killed her had chosen instead to protect her. That night, under the cold stars, two enemies sat together in silence. And though neither dared to say it, both felt the same dangerous thought. Perhaps, just perhaps, they were not enemies at all. The sky burned red as the greatest battle of the war began. Human fleets stormed the Nixari capital system, their ships firing streams of missiles and plasma. The Nixari answered with blinding beams of light, their elegant warships moving like predators among the stars. On the ground, the clash was even worse. Explosions shook the earth, soldiers screamed, and the air turned to fire and smoke. The human army pressed forward, desperate to break the Nixari Empire once and for all. Captain Daniel Reeve marched with his men, rifle in hand, but his heart was not with the mission. He knew Alira was near. She had been recaptured when Nixari scouts discovered signs of her presence. Now she was held in the heart of the city, guarded like a jewel, her fate tied to the outcome of the war. And Daniel could not leave her. When orders came to storm the palace, Daniel saw his chance. His squad moved with the others, but his eyes searched only for her. The battle raged around him. Bullets, blades, energy beams, but in his mind, he heard her voice. "Daniel, I am here." Her telepathic call pierced the chaos, guiding him through the fire. He broke away from his men, ignoring Holt's furious shouts behind him. Every step forward was betrayal. Every step forward was treason. But he no longer cared. At last, he reached the palace. Silver towers crumbled under human artillery. Flames licked the walls, and inside, Alira stood surrounded by Nixari guards. Her violet eyes locked onto his, wide with fear and relief. "Stop," General Kale roared, blade in hand. "You will not touch her, human." Daniel raised his rifle, but his voice was steady. "I don't want to fight you. I just want her." The guards closed in. The battle could not be avoided. Shots rang out, steel clashed, and Daniel fought like a man possessed. Wounds opened on his arms and chest, but still he pushed forward. For every soldier that struck him down, he rose again, because in front of him was the only reason he had to live. And then, in the chaos, Alira did the unthinkable. She stepped in front of him, shielding him with her own body. Energy bolts from Nixari rifles slammed into her shimmering armor. Pain seared her, but she did not move aside. Enough! Her voice echoed in every soldier's mind, both human and Nixari. If you kill him, you kill me too. The battlefield froze. Soldiers stared in shock. An Nixari princess, heir to the throne, standing beside a human soldier, protecting him with her life. Daniel caught her as she stumbled, holding her close. Her blood, silver and glowing, stained his hands. Commander Holt burst into the chamber with his unit, his face twisted with fury. "Reeve, you traitor! You fight for her, for the enemy." Daniel's voice shook, but it carried across the silence. "She is not my enemy. She never was. Look at her. Look at us. We bleed the same. We suffer the same. How many more must die before you see the truth?" For a long, breathless moment, no one moved. Humans aimed their rifles. Nixari raised their blades, but neither side struck. They only stared at the impossible sight before them, a soldier and a princess, enemies by blood, holding each other as if the war around them no longer mattered. In Alira's weakening voice came the final plea. "If love can exist between us, then peace can exist between you all." The palace shook with another explosion. The war outside still roared, but inside that broken hole, something had shifted. The hatred of two worlds had been challenged, not by an army, not by a weapon, but by love. Smoke filled the palace, broken stones falling from the ceiling as the battle outside raged on. Daniel held Alira in his arms, his chest heaving, his heart pounding like a war drum. Her silver blood stained his hands, glowing faintly in the darkness. "You shouldn't have done that," he whispered, his voice breaking. Alira gave a weak smile, her violet eyes soft. "I had to. You saved me first. Now I save you." Around them, humans and Nixari still stood frozen, their weapons trembling in their hands. They had all seen it, the princess shielding a human, the soldier refusing to harm her. In that single act, the meaning of the war began to crack. Commander Holt snarled, his face red with rage. "This is madness. Reeve, you've betrayed humanity. She's using you, she's." But his words fell silent when General Kale stepped forward. His blade was still in his hand, his eyes burning with conflict. He had sworn his life to protect Alira, and now she was standing with the enemy. "Princess," Kale said softly, his voice trembling, "why him?" Alira looked at him, her face pale but steady. "Because he sees me not as a weapon, not as a symbol, but as myself. And I see him the same." For the first time, Kale lowered his weapon. Holt raised his rifle, finger tightening on the trigger, but Daniel stood in front of Alira, shouting, "If you kill her, you'll kill me too." And that was the moment no one could ignore. Both armies, human and Nixari, hesitated. The war had always been about fear and hate, but now, in the middle of the fire, they saw something else. A human and an alien, enemies by blood, refusing to fight, choosing love instead. The battle slowly quieted, rifles lowered, blades dimmed. For a fragile moment, silence fell across the ruins. What happened next would be debated for generations. Some said the humans pulled back, unable to strike down their own soldier. Others claimed the Nixari carried their princess away under a banner of truce. Some even whispered that Daniel and Alira vanished together, slipping into the stars, never to be seen again. But one truth was certain. The war changed that day. Peace did not come at once. The fighting did not end overnight. But the image of Daniel and Alira spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Soldiers told the story. Civilians repeated it. Leaders were forced to listen. If a human soldier and an alien princess could find love in the ashes of war, then maybe, just maybe, there was hope for peace. As for Daniel and Alira, their ending is left to the stars. Some say Allura survived her wounds, hidden away with Daniel on a distant world, where they lived in quiet exile, free from crowns and guns. Others say she died in his arms that night, but her sacrifice sparked the first peace talks between their people. And some believe they are still out there, traveling from world to world, two lovers who dared to defy destiny, leaving behind only whispers and legends. But no matter the version, the moral remains the same. Love is stronger than hate. In the darkest times, when war seems endless and hope feels lost, love can break the chains of fear. It can show enemies that they are not so different after all. It can give courage where armies fail, and light where the stars burn out. The galaxy did not remember every battle. It did not remember every victory or defeat, but it remembered the story of a soldier and a princess, a forbidden love that defied the fire of war, a love that proved even across the greatest divide, two hearts can still find each other. And perhaps, if we carry that lesson, peace is never truly impossible.